It may not be news to you that the largest companies in the world are controlled by a small number of investment funds. After all, the corporate world is a kind of labyrinth, an interconnected network where everyone seems to own everything. But that is only true up to a certain point. Together,
it's one of the oldest movie logos ever made. In fact, if you count every mountain that's been credited as supposedly being the logo's inspiration, you get a grand total of 9.
I need to find my way to the high place at Dan. That must be the cultic center.
But this morning, just a very interesting set of circumstances. As every morning, I get a random Bible verse, and that is something that I will study in the morning and before I go about my day. And this morning, it was Psalm 133. Only 3 verses, but it talks about the dew of Hermon and the dew that descended. And there's so much to this that confirms to my notes and the things that I've been being led to. And I know it looks like a bunch of gurgly goop, but there's a lot of research here that this is what I'm led to do.
Scan across this thing.
Mount Hermon.
Oh!
In the book of Enoch, 200 angels, watchers, descended upon the top of Mount Hermon.
This is one of the busiest roads in Santa Cruz County and the area impacted by that tornado. Stoplights up and down this road only just started working again a couple of hours ago. We're talking 2 days after the tornado.
It's one of the oldest movie logos ever made.
Some of his subjects were Canaanites. They were attracted to the worship of Baal, and the symbol associated with the worship of Baal was the calf.
Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon.
these corporations form a sort of pyramid where smaller groups belong to larger ones. And at the top of this pyramid, the 3 largest investment funds stand out, exerting direct or indirect influence over the others. They are State Street, BlackRock, and Vanguard. Together, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street have approximately $30 trillion in assets under management.
So we are at Nimrod's castle, way up in the air right now. Way up in the air.
Warren, he was the chief of police for London or something. He wanted to go to the Israel-Palestine area and map it out. And he made it to Mount Hermon, and he said there was this giant ancient temple, this spiral thing. And he said at the center it appeared to be like an altar for sacrifices.
And again, the financial system, the whole deal with the BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. You have State Street, Boston, which I've shown you this line many times that runs from the Boston Bunker Hill Monument obelisk down to the Washington, D.C. obelisk monument. Okay? And along that line, that 396 long line, I've shown you Tesla Corner is exactly intersected. But I don't want to get off on those rabbit trails. I just want you to understand that Vanguard in Philadelphia, BlackRock in New York City, and State Street in Boston, Massachusetts all sit within a very short distance of that line.
It's one of the oldest movie logos ever made, with over 100 years worth of history behind that majestic, snow-capped peak. But did you know there is actually a real Paramount Mountain?
Completely backs up his story. And all you have to do is replace the word transformers with fallen angels.
Okay, fallen angels. And then they go to the Hoover Dam. Now get a load of this. I was making the video on these lines, but I didn't show you this line over here that runs from the Washington Monument west across the entire country. Okay, now this is just really, really interesting, you guys. You have to just kind of wrap your mind around this, that's all. Again, from the Washington Monument, exactly, heading west.
It started with King Jeroboam and a political decision that he had made. He created his own national worship system that was different than the one God had given to the chosen people in order to make sure that his political future was guaranteed. He built a sanctuary here and a worship complex that looked almost exactly like the one that was in Jerusalem.
Valley jeweler William Green, Tuesday was business as usual. Just 3 days ago, a tornado touched down outside his shop on Mount Hermon Road and swept through this business corridor.
Take a video.
Oh, Brian, careful!
Green had a front seat to watch the destruction.
Nobody around here has experienced a tornado. I mean, what do you do?
You can't make this stuff up, you guys. You simply can't. All the way east-west across the country, almost to the coast of California, we come to a place called Mount Hermon, California. Now he's talking about Hoover Dam.
William Wadsworth Hodgkinson opened one of America's first movie theaters.
Hey there, yeah, we're on Mount Hermon Road in Scottsdale.
But this man, Sir Charles Warren, he was the chief of police for London or something.
It seems everyone and their grandmother has an opinion about the true identity of Paramount's towering emblem.
And there that sound. That's a sound you hear nowhere else like you do here, the sound of rushing water. We're at the foot of Mount Hermon that gets more than 70 inches of annual precipitation, and that water comes downslope and begins to collect in this area.
In 1986, Paramount commissioned artist Dario Campanile to update the logo for their 75th anniversary. Campanile created an absolutely beautiful painting with vivid and realistic details. I've always loved the mountain's reflection in the glassy lake.
Aftermath from a rare tornado was still being dealt with in Scotts Valley today.
And it's only against that backdrop that we can fully understand what an unholy use of the Holy Land this place is, the high place at Dan.
Crews were still hard at work 2 days after this tornado swept through this area in Scotts Valley Saturday. All of the damage happening in a short but frightening amount of time.
He wanted to implement a revolutionary new system for distributing movies. At this point in time, films were released on a state-by-state basis or through roadshow distribution. Instead, Hodgkinson planned to release films nationwide.
And as a side note, I do want to add that yesterday, October 9th, Yale University celebrated their 322nd year as an institution. Now think about that. Yale, the home of Skull and Bones 322, celebrated their 322 in 223. Okay? And remember also that the love of money is the root of all evil.
For people who practice ley lines and the occult and all that kind of stuff.